Hi, it's Kim with you again, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the daily tracking and measuring sheets. And these are the sheets that employees will be filling in so that you can complete your daily summary spreadsheet, which will enable you to prepare the scorecard. So in this video I'd just like to talk about, first of all, the three most important things to do with testing and measuring. So as you can see here, we've got an example of one of the tracking and measuring sheets, and this particular one relates to a service-based business. There are also tracking and measuring sheets for a retail business, a product-based business, and a restaurant business. But in this particular example, we'll just be talking about the service business. But first of all, the most three important things that you need to know about testing and measuring. Well, first of all, testing and measuring is nothing new, and you've probably been doing some of it already in the business that you're working in. For example, you might have been involved in measuring certain advertising and promotional things that have happened. For example, like newspaper advertisements that have gone up, radio spots that your business might have been advertised in. Testing and measuring is all about looking at those things and working out what's working and what's not working, and what's making customers buy, what's turning inquiries into hard, cold cash. So the second thing that you need to know about testing and measuring is you must be asking people that come in, or people that come to your website or phone up, where they found out about you. Because if you don't do that, you're really going to be in the dark forever, and you'll never know what's actually bringing in the sale to the business. See, customers come from so many different sources, it's impossible to judge how certain advertising or promotions are actually doing. So to get more referrals, to get more people coming into your shop or to your website to buy, you really need to be asking the question. And it just needs to be something informal, like, by the way, can I ask you where you heard about this business? And really no one will ever have any problem letting you know where they found out about it. The third one is to be really vigilant and disciplined, because you can't test and measure half the time. You need to do it all day, every day. And it's not difficult. Just remember to mark down a record after every customer interaction. And that's the key thing that you'll need to communicate to staff that are responsible for filling out these sheets. They need to mark down a record after every customer interaction. And every employee that is filling out these tracking and measuring sheets need to be doing it in the same way. And it must be done by all employees who interact with customers in the same way every time. And it's really essential that they're honest about what they're putting on these sheets, because if they're not writing everything down and recording everything, if they're only doing every second one, every third one, or every fifth one, you're not going to get accurate results. So let's talk about this daily service business tracking and measuring sheet in particular. So we're just going to go through each of the columns here and talk through what they really mean. So the first column here is the prospect name, and this is the name of the customer. And really you are going to need to be asking them for this. So staff will need to ask the person what their name is, and sometimes they may not even get a chance to ask the person their name. So in these instances, what they could do is simply just write a basic description of them. For example, it could be a male in your 30s, for example, or it could be a female in her 50s. Just a really basic description if they can't get the name, just so you have some indicator as to what type of person is actually coming into the shop or coming to your business to buy. This second column, new inquiry, yes or no. So basically you want to know, have they ever been to your business before? And if they've never been to your business ever before, they're going to be a new inquiry. If they're going to be, if they have been to your business before, then they're not a new inquiry. They're actually a repeat customer. So if it's a same inquiry, you need to tick that column if they're a customer that's been to your business several times before. So a person will either be a new inquiry or a same inquiry. So new inquiries, if they're brand new and never heard about your business before, it's the very first time they have come in to see you. And same inquiry is if they are a repeat customer, so they might have shopped with you once before, twice before, or 10 times before. Onto the new customers column. Now, how did they hear about you? This is as simple as it sounds. You need to fill this out if the customer is entirely new. That is, they've never been in before. Ask them where they heard about you, and don't suggest anything if they take a while to answer. You really need to wait for their response, and that's something that's quite important to communicate to staff who are going to be responsible for collecting the information on these forms. You really don't want them to be prompting customers for the right response or what they think is the right response. So really you want to ask the customer where they heard about you, and the salesperson needs to wait for their response, and they will get it and then write it on the sheet here. Now, which marketing strategy drew them in? This really applies in the case where you may have different types of marketing going on in your business. For example, you may have 3 different advertisements going out in the paper in a particular week. And if you have a code on each particular advertisement, you can then identify which particular advertising is bringing customers in, because a customer may bring in a voucher, for example, with a particular promotional code on it. So that column may not get filled in every time. It really only relates to if you have a particular advertising or marketing promotion that has some kind of code attached to it that you can really identify that's what drew that customer in. This next column is about whether or not you're capturing that customer's details, and you need to tick this column if you get the person's full name, address and phone number, and then that information will be stored into the database. And really it's just a matter of your salespeople saying, I'd like to put you on our mailing list, could I get your details please? Onto the sales conversion columns. The first column here, quote requested, this is where the salesperson will tick this column if the customer asks for a quote. And the sale amount, this is if a sale is made, you need to write in the amount of the sale. So it could be $50, it could be $10, it could be $100. So that's really important. So at the end of the day, as a systems champion, you're able to add up all of the sale amounts that have been made by that particular salesperson. And the final column here, this column will be ticked if the customer doesn't ask for a quote and doesn't buy, but needs to be followed up at a later stage. So that column will be ticked if the customer hasn't asked for a quote, there's been no sale, but the salesperson will give them a phone call in a day or so and follow up with them to see if they'd like to progress further with their inquiry. And also, it's a good idea for the salesperson to be ticking this column if the customer claims that they'll come back. So that way you're capturing that, yes, this person was interested in your business, they had come in to make an inquiry, but they just weren't ready to purchase yet. So that's the overview of the Daily Service Business Tracking and Measuring sheet. And all of the tracking and measuring sheets are quite similar, although there's 1 or 2 variances across the different sheets because to make them relevant to that particular business type. So this is the sheet that your sales team would be filling in on a daily basis. So 1 sheet per day, and at the end of the day, the sheets would be collected by the systems champion and tallied up and added into the master daily tracking spreadsheet, which is the daily tracking summary, this sheet here. And there's a separate video where I walk you through how to summarize all of those tracking sheets and enter it into the daily tracking summary. And the daily tracking summary is the sheet that you'll need in order to prepare the scorecard.